In today's video, we're going to learn the first two parts of the classic 6/8 march, the Atholl Highlanders. Stay tuned. Well, hello everybody, I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper, and on this channel I make videos to make you a stronger and more confident piper. If you like this kind of content, please think about giving the video a like, subscribing to the channel, and commenting below with any thoughts you might have. I also teach Skype and online lessons if you want more personalized instruction, but more on that later. In the description below, there's a link to the PDF document I have, so go ahead, print that out, put it on a tablet, have it in front of you so you can follow along. So today we're going to continue building our repertoire with the classic 6/8 tune, the Atholl Highlanders, specifically the first two parts. I've seen a 4-part version of this, I've seen a 6-part version of this, they're all fantastic, but for our purposes in the basic series here, we're just going to learn the first two parts of this fine 6/8 march. This is our third tune in 6/8 time, which is a compound time signature. And what do I mean by that? It means that while there are absolutely 6/8 notes in each one of these bars or measures, we're going to count it in 2 rather than 6. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 1, da, da, 2, da, da. But this tune is a 6/8 march, so rather than having an even 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, it's going to have more of a pulsed 1, da, 2, da, 1, da, 2, da. Except for a few rhythms where we actually turn that around, and the first one is actually short. 1-e, da, 2-e, da, 1-e, da, 2-e, da. But we'll worry specifically about that rhythm when it comes up in one of the phrases here in just a little bit. And speaking of phrases, we are going to continue to learn this tune in phrases, but the phrases are a little bit more complicated here in that some of them have pickup notes or an anacrusis to be particular and exact, but those are notes before the downbeat. So if we look here, we can see there's a phrase 1 question with pickup notes and a phrase 1 question without pickup notes. These phrases are the same minus those first two introductory notes. So while we're going to learn it in phrases, this time I was nice, and instead of withholding the sheet music from you of the whole tune, here it is on page 2. You can see here you have the whole tune written out, so it's more easy to follow. So let's not waste any more time, dive right on into phrase 1 question of the Atholl Highlanders. And as we can see here, it starts with some pickup notes. It's going to have a snapped rhythm, da-da, da-da. It's going to come in with a short note to a medium length note up to a G grace note to a nice long E. So we're going to have a G grace note to a short C, lift to D, and then a G grace note up to an E that we're going to hold for 1 full beat or 3 subdivided beats in 6/8 time. Then after that nice long E, we'll do an E doubling. And if you need more work on doublings, there is a card, I'm pretty sure in that corner, to my video on doubling, so check that out. But that's going to be a G grace note on E, F grace note on E, and it's on a dotted 8th note. So it's going to be a nice long pulse note to a rather short C, and then a D grace note down to a low A. And for that D grace note, we're going to lift both fingers and then bring these 3 down. So from C, this is coming up because it doesn't need to be down for A. This is coming up for the D grace note, then all 3 down. But as you do this, don't make it big and scoopy. You need that D motion, this finger right here, to be quite quick, or the tonality of that D is going to come out and it's going to kind of mask the C before it. We don't want it that big. We want bum cha, bum cha. And I also want to point out that this A is a medium length note. It's 1 subdivided beat, 1/3 of that beat. It's really easy in 6/8 to kind of do a long, short rhythm. The rhythm is bup, ba-da, bup, ba-da, bup, ba-da, bup, ba-da, bup, ba-da. Then after that low A, we're going to go back up to an E doubling. In fact, it's the same run of 3 notes that we just did. The E doubling on a dotted 8th note to a 16th note, short C, D grace note to an A. So you'll do that twice here. Then we'll go up with a G grace note to a B, which is on a dotted 8th note, so it's a longer pulsed note, to a short C, and then a medium length D. Today I'm using the Soundbrenner app, but there's a ton of great metronomes out there. There's the Piper's metronome, there's the Frozen 8 tempo app. It doesn't really matter what metronome you use, they all work, but you do want to be able to make sure that you can subdivide the beat into 3 right now so that you can get that 6/8 feel. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to count all 6 of the 8th notes in there. To use this, we can see we're coming in with some pickup notes on the upbeat. It's the upbeat before the third pulse of beat 2, and then we're going to hold that next note for 3 full subdivided clicks of this metronome before coming in on the fourth one, the full second beat. That fourth click that's coming out of that bar will be that E doubling. So let's just push go on this and try to follow along. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. And again. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. So there's the phrase 1 question. Now let's move on to the phrase 1 answer. Phrase 1 answer starts with a G grace note to a nice long E, again on a dotted quarter note, so 3 subdivided pulses on here, 1 full 6/8 beat to another E doubling on a dotted 8th note, short C, D grace note to A, same pattern we've already done twice in the phrase 1 question. And then we're going to walk up with the same 3 notes that we ended the phrase 1 question with, the G grace note to B, to a C, to a D. And here we're finally introducing some new stuff. From the D, we're going to go down with a C doubling. So from D, G grace note to C, D grace note to separate out a second C to a B, and then a low G catch to an A to finish off this answer. And all of these rhythms so far are either long notes holding 1 full 6/8 beat, or a more typical pointed 6/8 bump, da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da kind of rhythm. This one's going to start right on the beat, so a little easier to count off. 1, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. And again, 1, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. Now let's put together the phrase 1 question and answer. 1, 2, 3, go, 2. Then from there, we have the phrase 1 question with no pickup notes. I'm not going to review that one again because it's the phrase 1 question with a few less things. So we've already gone over all of that. So let's go straight to the ending phrase. This is going to be the phrase that ends both parts of this tune. And if you were to play the entire tune, it actually ends all of the parts, at least of the versions I've seen. But today, we're just doing the first 2 parts. So let's take a look at this ending phrase, the final answer. You can see here, this is the phrase that starts with a snapped rhythm. And by snapped, I mean the first note is a 16th note. It's a short note. Da-dum! You want to make sure that that starts right clearly on the downbeat. The click of the metronome is not a pickup note. Da-dee, da-dee. We want da-dee, da-dee, where you're starting that G grace note on the C, right smartly on the down, and then jumping up to a nice long high A before going to an E. So from C up to high A, make sure you're avoiding that cross. It's easy to lower these first and get a clicking noise as you go up. So make sure that we've gotten our thumb and upper fingers out of the way before switching to that bottom hand position like this. And not. Then from high A, you'll go to an E. Again, a chance for a crossing noise right here as well. So from high A, make sure that that ring finger gets out of the way, down to that E. So then it's an E with a G grace note to an F. That's straightforward. You're going to lift both your middle and top pointer fingers, immediately bringing that top pointer down. Then we're just walking a simple scale down. Nice long dotted F here. Back to a more traditional pointed 6/8 rhythm. To a short E, then a switch to a D. Again, avoid that crossing noise as you go to the D. So get that bottom hand out of the way before the ring finger comes down for the D. Then we're going to do a G grace note to a C again, and again, snapped rhythm, nice short note. But here, we're just having to go up to a D, so pretty easy. Again, making sure it's on the downbeat and not before it. Then an E grace note to a B, so from D, we're going to lift the ring finger and pinky down to a B, and then finally, low G catch to an A at the end. So from B, both down, pinky up. So let's try that ending phrase with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. One, 2, 3, go, 2, 3. So let's do the entire first part now. We're going to do the phrase 1 question with pickup notes to the phrase 1 answer, then the phrase 1 question, no pickup notes, to the ending phrase, the final answer. And for this, we'll look at the actual full sheet music again on page 2. And briefly before we start, you can see we have a first and second ending. We dealt with this in Koraholi's Welcome, but a brief review again. What this means is we're going to start here. You can see the forward-facing repeat. We're going to play through the first and second line and play that first ending. You'll see the repeat sign there. Go back up to the top, play the first line, the second line, but then we will skip the first ending and go to the second ending. The only difference between these endings I want to point out as well is the length of that final note. The pickup notes to the first part, there's a 16th note and an 8th note. So the ending note has to be a dotted 8th note to make up for the rest of the time. However, in part 2, you can see there's only one pickup note, the 8th note. So the ending note of the second ending is going to be a little longer as a quarter note, 2 full subdivided, pulses of the beat. So let's try part 1 with its repeat. 1, 2, 3, go, 2. All right, on to part 2. So similarly to part 1, there's a phrase 2 question that's going to have a pickup note, and there's going to be a phrase 2 question without a pickup note. We're going to first learn the one with the pickup note. So that's going to start with an E, and then a G grace note to low A. So that's pretty straightforward, just 1 finger up, 2 fingers down to the low A. And the low A is a dotted 8th note again, so it's a nice long pulsed 6/8 rhythm here. Bum, da, da. From here, we're going to do a D grace note to C. So again, from A, everything comes up. These two come down. But remember, it can't be big and scoopy. It's got to be a nice, crisp, small D. Or again, the C is going to kind of get lost in the mix. Our ear tends to find higher pitched noises more important. So a D grace note that's overly long will shadow the C that it's supposed to be accenting. Small grace note, nice and quick cha kind of sound to that C. It's a short C, so we can't establish it for too long because we're jumping straight up to an E. And on the C, remember, hold it for its full third of the beat, its full subdivided pulse. Bum, da-dum, bum, da-dum. Again, it's really easy to go bum, did-it-dum, did-it-dum, did-it-dum. Bum, da-dum, dum, da-dum, dum, da-dum, dum, da-dum. So after that E, we'll again jump down to another G grace note to A, D grace note to C, up to an E with the same rhythm, so you do that pattern twice. Then from the E, we'll do a G grace note to a B, so we're going to lift our bottom ring finger, top pointer finger, down to a B with that G grace note again, nice chirpy grace note. And not. No grace note this time, taking you to the D though, the next note. Short D to again an F. Don't make the F too short. Bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. And then after that F, yes, another G grace note to a B, then a short D to a medium length F. And that will finish the phrase 2 question. Let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. We also want to make sure we're avoiding runs as we're going up to these notes, especially on that second one where you're going B to the D to the F. You could get a where the run, that's the note in between. So as you're going from the B to the D, I kind of actually have just a little bit of rotation in my wrist, kind of like I'm turning a door handle just a little bit. And then from the D to the F, you want to make sure that you're leading with that middle finger on the way up so we don't get up where you hear that E in the middle. So if you're in the right F position, I find that that middle finger should be a little bit higher than that ring finger. All right, the phrase to answer. It's going to go back to that pattern of the G grace note to A, D grace note to C, up to the E that we did in the question above. And then it's going to end with the same ending bit that the phrase one answer had. So the phrase two answer and the phrase one answer end with the ta-da-dum, ta-da-da-dum. G grace note to B, C, D, C doubling, B, low G catch to A. Let's do the phrase two answer. 1, 2, 3, go 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3, go 2, 3. And just like that, that's pretty much the whole tune. The next phrase is the phrase two question just without a pickup note. So we've already done that, and then the ending phrase is the same final answer phrase that we did in part one. So let's dive in and play all of part two. And you can see in part two, the ending is not a 1-2 ending. They're the same. 1, 2, 3, go 2. We have the metronome set here at 40 beats per minute, but if that's too quick for you, not a problem. Go ahead, set your metronome more slowly. And if you want to follow along here on YouTube, there should be a gear icon somewhere down here on screen, and it can let you control the playback speed. If you go to 0.5, it'll be the playback speed at half. At 0.75, it'll be the playback speed at 3/4 speed. So you could use that to slow the metronome down here. It'll sound just a little funky, but it'll still get the job done. So we're starting at 40 here, but this is a nice lively 6/8 march. I've heard this played even in the mid-90s. So as you get better, don't be afraid to up the metronome, but make sure you keep it clean. Well, thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you got something out of this video, please think about giving it a like, subscribing to the channel, and hitting that bell icon to be notified of when I post new videos. I also have a Patreon where as little as $1 a month goes a really long way to helping support the channel, and a special shout out to Miss Carrie Tresek, my #1 supporter. But you'll see names now, folks. Scrolling up, these are people that support the channel on a monthly basis. As little as $1 a month goes way further than you might think. So think about heading over to my Patreon and supporting the channel. I also teach Skype and online lessons. Go ahead and head over to www.commandyourbagpipe.com or email me at the address you see right here, and we'll get you going. I'm working with folks from all over the planet, and I hope to work with you soon. I also have a line of Command Your Bagpipe merchandise like hats and hoodies and mugs and stickers, so go head over there and let the world know that you command your bagpipe. Well, again, thank you for watching, everybody. I'm Matt Willis Bagpiper, and until next time, cheers.